These brick ruins are all that remain of a civilization that 4,000 years ago was building massive, grid-planned cities with complex drainage systems, while much of the world was still living in scattered tribes. As these urban centers matured, the focus shifted from physical infrastructure to intellectual synthesis. This period birthed the foundational philosophies of Hinduism and the later emergence of Buddhism and Jainism. Emperor Ashoka of the Maurya Empire personified this cultural shift. After a devastating military conquest, he formally renounced violence and used his state resources to spread Buddhist principles of pacifism across the region. Intellectual progress continued under the Gupta Empire, where mathematicians developed the concept of zero as a functional value, a breakthrough that would eventually become the baseline for global science and commerce. These weren't isolated developments.
For thousands of years, the subcontinent was layering structural stability with intellectual capital, building the infrastructure necessary to support the massive populations and trade networks that were to follow. In the medieval era, that foundation supported a level of material wealth and military scale that few other regions could match. In the south, maritime powers like the Cholas controlled major sea lanes, while regional armies surged across the interior. The establishment of the Delhi Sultanate in the north introduced a new era of Indo-Islamic fusion, which resulted in distinct styles of architecture and a more centralized system of imperial administration. By the 14th century, the Vijayanagara Empire commanded enormous resources. Its capital was a fortified metropolis, with stone temple complexes integrated directly into the natural boulder landscape. By the 17th century, the Mughal Empire controlled the vast majority of the subcontinent's resources. Under Shah Jahan, this concentration of wealth was high enough to finance architectural projects of perfect symmetry, like the Taj Mahal. This accumulation of capital across centuries made the subcontinent the primary destination for foreign powers. Its resources defined global trade routes, drawing European explorers who were looking to secure their own economic futures. European merchant ships began arriving in the 1600s. Their initial goal was simple: trade for the spices, textiles, and precious metals that had been accumulating in India for generations. As Mughal central authority weakened, the British East India Company took advantage of the political fragmentation. Following the Battle of Plassey in 1757, they moved from trading to governing, seizing control of entire territories. This map shows the mechanics of economic extraction. The company dismantled India's internal manufacturing, replacing it with an export system for raw materials. This one-way pipeline siphoned wealth from the subcontinent to bankroll the rapid growth of Britain's factories. By the 19th century, British textile mills were processing massive quantities of Indian cotton, effectively replacing Indian weavers with British machines. The company changed the mechanics of the Indian economy to prioritize corporate exports, a shift that resulted in widespread local impoverishment across the subcontinent. Decades of extraction and cultural disregard reached a limit in 1857. The Sepoy Mutiny broke out, a bloody, large-scale rebellion by Indian soldiers against their British corporate commanders. The rebellion was suppressed, but it marked the end of the East India Company. The British Crown took formal, direct control of the subcontinent, integrating it into a global imperial bureaucracy. A region that had spent thousands of years as an independent center of wealth was now a colonial possession. Its future and its resources were now dictated by an administration thousands of miles away. Political resistance grew with the formation of the Indian National Congress in 1885. This group led the transition from seeking minor colonial reforms to demanding Swaraj, full self-rule. In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi introduced a new strategy of mass, peaceful non-cooperation, turning the population into a political force that the British could not ignore. Gandhi targeted the economic heart of the empire. By encouraging Indians to weave their own cloth and boycott foreign goods, he turned the spinning wheel into a symbol of economic self-reliance. Movements like the Salt March and the Quit India campaign mobilized millions. The sheer scale of citizens refusing to comply with colonial laws began to stall the British administration. While Gandhi focused on pacifism, others believed that military pressure was necessary. Revolutionary leaders like Subhas Chandra Bose organized armed struggle, increasing the cost of the British occupation.
Facing both a population that refused to work and a growing military threat, the British administration found the subcontinent increasingly difficult to manage. By 1947, they were forced to surrender control. On August 15, 1947, India officially regained its independence. Huge crowds gathered in the streets to mark the end of colonial rule and the birth of a free nation. However, the victory was complicated by the reality of partition. The territory was fractured along religious lines, creating the separate nations of West and East Pakistan. The drawing of these new borders triggered an immediate wave of human displacement. Millions were forced to cross the new frontiers, leading to widespread violence and a humanitarian crisis. The modern republic was built on these layers: ancient urbanism, medieval trade, and the unification found in the struggle for independence. The result is a nation shaped by its long history of synthesis and the difficult realities of its rebirth.